All right. Boom. Look at this. Look at this, boys. So this is what we're gonna do, boys. We're just gonna be talking about all the LCS teams, players to watch. Okay, so right off the bat, Dignitas. You know, I think Dignitas. There's like a lot. There's like in the LCS right now. It feels like there's a lot of like it's very top heavy. I feel like the top 5 teams are a lot better than the bottom 5 teams, but I feel like Dignitas is like the one team that stood above the rest from last year. And I think the big difference that Dignitas had over the other bottom teams is I just felt like their mid late game, literal just their team fighting was a lot better. And I don't know if this is Aphromu's doing or what it was, but it just felt like Dignitas had an edge when it came to fighting around objectives. And the meta was a lot about fighting around objectives the entire last split. You didn't really see too many strategies other than like literally both teams just grouping up and fighting. I don't think it's going to be changing too much. I think there's going to be a lot of new champions in the meta, and I definitely fear for like a player like Celico. What I know about the mid lane meta right now is that there's a lot of melee champions, and then there's a lot of AD carry champions, and I feel like Celico really he shined a lot when the meta was the mages. That was basically the meta the whole split last split, and yeah, I think the players to watch on Dignitas are 100% these two. I felt like Neo and Fake God both had a like huge breakout split. Especially Fake God. I feel like Fake God really showed last split that he is a lot better than a lot of these new players that came in. And he showed that he could like really fight with the best as well. And for Neo, I think the performances I watched Neo have on stuff like Kalista and these like aggressive ADCs, it just proved to me that he's like kind of playing with like no regrets. And if he can maintain that like aggressive playstyle and how he does in team fights and stuff, he's gonna be insane. On that same turn though, like Dignitas can't really beat the top teams because I feel like they just fall behind early game just really often to all the top teams. Like as soon as they play versus teams that pressure them a lot early game, then they struggled a lot. And this was versus all 5 of the top teams. I don't think there was I don't recall like their exact games versus the top teams, but I just know from playing versus them as well, it just felt like this team cannot really get the ball rolling in the early game. And it's like, it just felt like if they are not even, then they're going to struggle a lot in the game. And I would give Dignitas, like, as a rating, I think they're probably B tier. I think like they're better than the bottom teams, but they're not good enough to be in like A tier with the other top 4 teams, top 5 teams. All right, let's move on to FlyQuest. I think FlyQuest is a team that it's hard to really, for me, when I was thinking about all of this, it feels really hard for me to really point out the strengths and weaknesses of FlyQuest. Like me personally, I'm a pretty big fan of Palafox. I think Palafox is actually really good. I think there's also like a big argument that another player to watch would be for Jose Diodo. But I think this team is just a team that needs to work on everything just a little bit. And it's just really hard for me to say what their strengths are. I don't know. Maybe we could all figure out their strengths together. But this is one of the teams when I was thinking about it. It just felt like they're just like overall not amazing at one thing, and they're not like super terrible at everything either. Like it never felt like, yeah, this is FlyQuest and this is how they're gonna play. But I guess that could even be considered a weakness. Like they don't have like an identity. And I feel like I would really like to see FlyQuest like mold into a team with an identity and kind of stick to that. Because I think, especially as a bottom team, it's good to figure out your play style and just what you want to do. And that's a good way to pick up a lot of wins too. And there's 30, not 36, there's 28 games in LCS this split. So I think like I would like to see them try a lot more to just stick to one kind of thing, but whether it be like let's play around Licorice. Like Licorice is like proved in the past that he's like really good at laning. He can split push a lot, and if the meta calls for it and it's possible, then I would like to see them stick to that. I mean, I think their individual players do have skill. I think they are not bad. Like if you think across the board, like Licorice is like a very solid top laner. I think the last year I would say he didn't play nearly as well as he did when he was back on C9. But I do think like Jose Diodo, very talented. Palafox, very talented. I think Johnson is like an interesting ADC because I think Johnson is talented individually and mechanically, but I feel like where Johnson lacks is like he doesn't really understand like team play that much yet, which makes sense as like a rookie-ish ADC. I mean, he's been playing now for a year, so I would like to see him focus on that a lot more for sure. I would give FlyQuest a C. I think they came in 8th or 9th, and not even just judging them off that, but it just seems like they don't really know what they want to do yet. All right, moving on. EG. Personally, EG, one of my favorite teams in the LCS. I think EG is hilarious. I think everyone knows what I'm gonna say right now. Players to watch, Jiizuke, but also I want to put Danny in this list as well because I think Danny could shape the team a lot. If I'm being honest, I feel like Danny, unless he's really insane just individually, I don't think he's going to be able to change everything. But maybe with like a new guy on the team, we're gonna see Jiizuke like play a bit differently. I think I think I like personally why I really like watching EG and why I'm a big fan is because their entire game literally relies on Jiizuke. And he's a big strength, right? But also at the same time, man, this motherfucker is also the fucking biggest weakness on the team. Someone's got to get a whip and fucking get this guy to like, I don't know. If he just needs to think about his team more often. It's too often where I see Jiizuke just playing like he just doesn't give a fuck. And I think Jiizuke personally like best laner in LCS. I like Perkz and Jiizuke best laners for sure. I actually think Jiizuke when he's on his game and he's like really like, I don't know. I feel like when he tries hard, he's actually just insane. But the guy like flips it a bit too much, and you can see it consistently for a long time now. It just feels like he just needs to be reeled back a little bit. And I would like to see like a player like Impact, right? Impact, I feel like Jiizuke is on this side of the spectrum, right? Like this is like being like flipping the game, being crazy, like saying fuck it, right? And then I feel like there's Impact over here on the other side where Impact's like, yo bro, like let's just chill, man, like let's play some macro and let's like do this shit. And then like if these two players can meet in the middle and they can agree on something, I could see this team going to Worlds easily. I think they have the players for it and they have the skill. It's really gonna come down to how I feel like Jiizuke is gonna like do this summer split. And based on the history, bro, I don't know if he's gonna be any different, but we'll definitely see how it goes, right? And then the new addition to the team would be Danny in replace of Deftly. I think this will make the team better. I don't think Deftly was necessarily a huge problem for the team, but I'd never felt like Deftly was a huge strength. So I feel like if Danny comes in and he gives the team some more aggression, which I mean they definitely have, man. They have Ignar and Jiizuke, which is like a lot of aggression already. And if Ignar and Danny have some good synergy, I could see that bot lane being really strong. But on the flip side, like if Danny just sucks, bro, like Ignar is just gonna leave him dry. So we'll see. Okay, I think moving on. Golden Guardians, the 10th place team from the spring split. I think a lot of people expected them to be 10th, and they did end up in 10th. They made roster changes this year or this for summer split, with the roster changes being Newbie is out, Chime is in, and Niles is out, and Solo is in. I actually personally, I think the top lane change is good with in the sense that if they're trying to make the team better as much as they can right now, then I think the Solo for Niles change is good. From like an outsider's perspective though, I did think it was a bit weird to just like give up on Niles after a split. I don't think he necessarily played that great, but I feel like they were going into the year with like this idea of improving all these rookies. So I think it's a little bit weird in that angle, but I do think it's going to make the team better. For the support change, I really don't think it is going to change anything. I think like my personal opinion on both of the Newbie and Chime, I think they're both players who have a lot to improve on, and they remind me more of like the whole thing with like, yeah, these players are in the LCS to try to improve. And I think they did tryouts. So they were the first team to start scrimming again after the spring split ended. So, you know, they've been going for a while now, and from like some of the insider info I have had, they are doing good in scrims, but Golden Guardians also is a team that has always done really well in scrims and then not too great on stage. So we'll kind of just see how these players play. But outside of that, I think Ablaze Olive actually is the other player I want to put on this list. I think Ablaze Olive, I feel like I don't see enough people talking about Ablaze Olive. And for me personally, I think Ablaze Olive is the best NA mid laner in the LCS. I think Ablaze Olive is actually really good, and I think he's really underrated. I feel like he plays a lot of different styles and he plays them quite well. I think the only other like two players that could like go against him are Palafox and Pobelter, the two Ps, the PPs. I think those players are also really good overall. But I feel like Ablaze Olive still hasn't really hit his prime yet, which he's been playing for a long time, but I feel like over the last year of him playing in LCS, or like the last split, he improved a shit ton. And I'm like really excited to keep watching him. So I'm going to put him on that list for sure. I think people just don't talk about Nick that much. His name is Nick Blazolov. Based on these two players, Solo and Blazolov, I think if they have breakout splits, then they can be better than the teams that are also in the bottom like half. I don't think this team is gonna go to Worlds or anything, or like get close to Worlds or anything. But I definitely think that they can get better than 10th, and I'm kind of rooting for them. But we'll see how it goes, right? I think their strengths all lie in the mid and top, and I feel like outside of that, the team is gonna have the same struggles that they did last split. I mean, for weaknesses, dude, I like they don't have bad individuals, but I feel like this is something that always have like plagued Golden Guardians, is just like their mid late game macro has always been atrocious. Even when I was on Golden Guardians with like Closer and FBI and all that, like this was the biggest thing that we always were like stuck on. We were just like, shit guys, like we can get these leads and stuff, but we just have no idea how to close out the game. And if they can work on this, they won't be 10th. Rating, I think they're really similar to FlyQuest. I think before I would have put them below FlyQuest, but I think now they're like pretty same level. I think likely these two teams will be very, very similar in skill. It'll be pretty fun to watch them match up. All right, next team, 100 Thieves. The big hype out of 100 Thieves. I'm like pretty excited to watch them play. I think Closer and Abadage are like huge for this team. Like if these two players have really good synergy and they figure out how to play together, and the meta is consistent with like having mid jungle being important, I think 100 Thieves will get that third spot to Worlds. And I think on top of that, their weaknesses, right? Like this is something that we struggled a lot when we played together, and it's really similar to the Golden Guardian stuff. I really think their mid game and their late game are still need a lot of work. And 100 Thieves, like every single player on the team individually is really, really good. They all lane really, really well. They all have insane mechanics. They team fight well. They just see opportunities really well. And it's a lot like C9 in a sense. Like I feel like 100 Thieves is kind of a mini C9 in that way, where they just have a lot of talent and they just need to figure out how to like take that talent and spread it to the rest of the team, you know? Take that talent and like learn how to do more team play. And that's like really what separates 100 Thieves from the top 3 teams, I would say. Like the top 3 teams just have really, really solid macro, and like actually I shouldn't say top 3 teams. I should say top 2 teams, because I feel like TL and C9 are definitely a step above the rest, especially with how top heavy it is. Like the top 5 teams and the bottom 5 teams are much different, but then the top 2 teams and then the next 3 teams I feel like are different again. I think a lot of the strengths of 100 Thieves really just lies with like they have mad talent, like a lot of talent. So like FBI and Huhi, they win lane a lot of the time. I think one thing I would love to see out of 100 Thieves is to actually just include Someday more. I think it was really, really tough to actually include Someday when I in Spring Split. I just speaking from there, it felt like if we weren't pathing to bot, or if we tried to path to top, it was always tough. It just didn't feel like the game would be as easy playing that way versus the other way. So I think this team is like they will have their chance to go to Worlds. It's just gonna be up to them to just fucking do it, you know? It's just gonna be up to them to really pull the trigger on the team play and just figure out how to integrate all 5 rather than it being like a group of 4. And I think also a strength, dude, I think Reaper could be considered a strength on his own, or even a player to watch. He's not really a player, but I feel like this guy is gonna hopefully change a lot for this team. I don't think I think there's no way that a new coach comes in and does not change the team in a big way. I consider 100 Thieves an A. I would put 100 Thieves above Evil Geniuses, but I think since they're still like on the same rating, like both being A tiers, like these 2 teams play each other 10 times, it could easily go 5-5. Moving on, CLG. The CLG is a team that it was really weird to see them in Spring Split. I don't know if it was just a combination of like like unluckiness or just scenario, whatever it was. I feel like CLG just the roster building that went into CLG, I feel like they don't have a superstar. They don't have like a main carry. They kind of just have like a lot of average and solid players. And it's hard for me to really even do like a player to watch. Like going down the list of the team, they didn't make any roster changes, and they had I would really say they like had a huge like letdown in the spring split. I think it's pretty bad that they placed so low, especially with having so many veterans. And Finn, if there was anyone to choose, it would be Finn as a player to watch because I think he's like the most volatile, and I feel like he has the capability to carry games a lot. The early game was insane. I mean, I wouldn't even consider CLG's early game that good. I'm not gonna put anything for players to watch, and then I don't know their strengths. I feel like I also struggled with this one, but they have love and brotherhood. Thoughts about that? Welcome. We have Dignitas Acadian literally joining the stream with the cat now. Wait, I got a full screen real quick. Oh, you should just jump off. What not who, just what is the weakness
What is the weakness?
as the team?
Yeah, I mean, when I watch that team play, they just don't have any juice, bro. Not juice at all.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like for every other team, I can like put players to watch and like some strength and shit, but it just feels like CLG just has like a lot of like everyone is solid on the team, but they don't have any kind of they don't have like an identity or playstyle, and like it feels like they just don't have the juice, bro. I feel like that's actually a good way to put it. I think that's probably as good as we're gonna get it. What would you rate them? What I was saying as well. Like I feel like they should be like where they ranked last split. They ranked like around FlyQuest level, right? They were pretty bad. Like it was pretty for their players, but I feel like they should definitely be more so in like the like 6-7 range rather than like 8, 9, 10.
Yeah,
Yeah, C is like 8, 9, 10. So I would definitely put them in like the B range because I feel like they're similar to, in the fact of like Dignitas, but I feel like Dignitas almost has they have more wild cards than CLG has. Yep. Moving on, Immortals now. Guys, this is like another team that I really struggled with like finding a lot of like strengths and weaknesses as like a whole team. You know, I think there's individually like there's individual players on the team that I think are good and can stand out, but it's just another team that it just they probably won't have a great split. I don't know. Like I think the players to watch really just like Revenge, and like you can make a case for Insanity and Xerxes as well, but I just feel like I'm gonna put Insanity there, but like originally I was thinking to do Xerxes as well, just because I feel like Xerxes is the one veteran on the team that can lead everyone else, but I just feel like he has too much on his plate. It doesn't feel like to me that like Xerxes really could help everyone to put this team into like a top level. Like I think it's just another team that will probably be fighting for the 8th place playoff spot, which like kind of blows for sure. But I think that's like kind of what they're going to be doing. I think their strengths, like the best games I saw from Immortals were really just like when individuals had really good game. I really enjoyed watching and like seeing Insanity play a lot of the late game carries. I feel like he's really good at some of the like the hyper carries. So I would like to see them give Insanity some hyper carries if that's possible in the meta, right? We don't exactly know what we're gonna see just yet because the first week has not even been played, but we'll definitely see how that goes. I think strengths is really just like individual like potential. This is not like a team that is built to make its worlds. This is not a team that's built to go deep in playoffs. This is really just a team that is made to have everyone improve. But IMT is definite C tier. All right, Team Liquid. Team Liquid, bro. Players to watch of Team Liquid, guys. I think from what I've seen from Team Liquid, bro, I think if they play, nah, man, like how are you gonna put Jensen in there, bro? Like Jensen, you don't even have to watch Jensen, bro, because the thing that you know about Jensen is that you know that he's already gonna play well, bro. Like you don't have to watch him because you already know he's gonna be a top mid laner and he's already gonna do well. What I really want to watch is Tactical, because I feel like Tactical had a bit shakier of a split than he did in the past. I feel like when he came on, he was really hot and he was playing really well. And I think depending on how he plays, it will definitely change a lot. I personally, I think Team Liquid is gonna be the best team in the LCS, and they're gonna be the team to beat this split. And I just really think like their strengths, right? Like their fundamentals are really good. I think for Team Liquid versus C9, right? These two teams, I think they're gonna be number 1 and number 2. And just based off that, I think depending on the meta, it's going to change a lot of how these teams match up. I think S tier for Team Liquid. Fundamentals are A1. Another strength of theirs, they have this fucking guy, bro. CoreJJ is a bit unbalanced, not going to lie. CoreJJ is just perma-smurfing, man. Perma-smurfing. And then their weaknesses, I feel like I would consider Team Liquid relatively almost one-dimensional. But I think because they added Alphari, you can't actually say that with a straight face. I think Alphari just like he just proved too much that he's the best top laner in the league. I feel like this guy was bodying everyone, like honestly, just absolutely smurfing on everyone. So weaknesses, I don't know. Like it's really impossible for me to put any weaknesses here. I think this is the team to beat in the LCS. All right, moving on. TSM. The TSM players to watch PoE, and outside of PoE, it's Huni. I think for TSM, right? I think TSM showed that they can play around Power People, and I feel like okay. Let me explain why I'm not putting Spica there. I think Spica has been really good, right? But I want to watch these two players, right? I feel like PoE and Huni historically, right, have been very, very resource heavy players. On all of PoE's teams, every single team PoE has been on, he's been focused a lot for draft. He gets a lot of focus in draft, right? He plays a lot of carries, a lot of hyper carries, and his whole team plays around him. He always makes his support and his jungler play around him, and he's really, really fucking good about playing that way. And I feel like he got Team Liquid, or not Team Liquid, sorry, TSM to play that way really, really fast. And I think that is like, it was really good to see that PoE was actually able to like get Huni to play that way. But I think if TSM wants to break into like the Team Liquid and C9 level, then they're gonna have to start playing a little bit differently as well. And then I think if they add Huni as like a strength and get this guy to play like carries and really play towards Huni. Also, I mean, this is going to be very meta dependent, right? But I think if they are able to do that and integrate Huni more on Huni playstyle champions, then it's gonna be a huge wild card for every team that has they all have to think about it, right? It's always been like this on every team Huni's ever been on, that he's been the wild card. Like either you have to put bans on Huni, or the jungler is literally like thinking like, yo, I gotta path top, I gotta gank Huni, like this guy's gonna play crazy. And I was really proud to see Huni switch up his playstyle a lot to mesh well with PoE and with TSM. But I would also like to see the same thing happen the other way. I want to see PoE also now mesh into playing with Huni. And I think if they can actually do both of those, then they will be they have the potential to be like the scariest team in the LCS. And then also like outside of this, I think their fundamentals are solid, and I think that's why I think their fundamentals are a big reason why they were better than 100 Thieves last split. And I think that's like why it felt like 100 Thieves could not really beat TSM. It just felt like once the game got a little bit longer, they knew what to do a lot more than the teams below them. I mean, for Sword Art, I'm not really sure, man. Sword Art guy makes a lot of money, so hopefully he'll play better, right? I don't really know much about him at all. I never felt like he was a huge impact on the team winning or losing. It just really feels like it's just another PoE team, which is really interesting to say about TSM. But I'm not even sure how much different TSM played with Bjergsen versus with PoE. I feel like near the end of Bjergsen's like tenure with his playing, he was playing almost similarly to Power People. I would say for their weaknesses is that literally, I feel like TL is just a better TSM. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I feel like Team Liquid is just, they just do what TSM does, but better. And that's why I even think that they need to like implement Huni more. And I think they're A tier, right alongside like 100 Thieves and the other one, or not A tier. I would put them at A plus because I technically think that they will end above 100 Thieves. But this matchup is gonna be fun to watch, TSM 100 Thieves, because they were really close last split as well. Final team, Cloud9. Players to watch for Cloud9. I kind of forgot that King is getting put in, but I'm gonna keep it this just here. Fudge and Blabber. I feel like even though King is going in, I don't think the team is winning or losing based off of ADC. And I feel like it just does not matter as much as people think, like this role swap. I think King has like proven himself for a long time now in Academy, that he's basically just the best Academy ADC. It just feels like this guy has just been popping off for a very, very long time. But I can talk about this like roster swap for a little bit, right? But either way, back to the players to watch. I'm putting Fudge on here because I feel like Fudge started standing out a lot near the end of the split, and it was like really it was really good to see, because it added this level to C9 that people didn't really think that they were gonna have. Like a lot of people just thought they would put Fudge on some supportive stuff, like some tanky stuff, and they would just play that way. But it seemed like near the end of the split, he was actually finding himself as a carry. And I would like to see him keep doing that. And then for the second one, I'm just putting Blabber. I think Blabber is insane. Like the guy is really really good. I think I really am just gonna watch him to see how he bounces back from the MSI performance. I feel like he's been an LCS player for a really long time. So I'll tell you right now, he does not. There's no way he like gives a fuck about community opinion and what everyone's saying. But I want to see like maybe he comes back from MSI and he just wants to prove everyone like that he's a beast again. And he just pops off hella hard. So we'll totally. I think it's gonna be really interesting to watch these two players. Them starting off the season using King is pretty good. 27 LCS games to split. So it's like 1/3 more than before. So I think it'll be really cool to see how he does. So like C9 as a whole, like I feel like they have really really amazing like individual skill and like amazing like amazing fingers. How about that? I think that's a good way to put it. They have really, really good fingers. And I feel like they win a lot of games just based off their fingers and just off their confidence. Their confidence is really, really high. And you see this a lot with just how they play around objectives and how they prepare and make fights. They just make stuff out of nothing. And that's like stuff you see the top teams do only. They make their own opportunities and they force mistakes really, really well. I also think another thing that I did like to see out of them, I did like seeing out of them, was that they could play a lot of different playstyles. I think this is something that a lot of teams can't really do, but I feel like C9 really tried hard to make this a thing. I feel like they pushed hard to make it so they didn't end up as one dimensional. And I think at times like maybe they looked like a bit of a one dimensional team, but like you guys are saying, right? Like around the like Blabber Olaf, for instance. Like I think that's like when you see C9 play Blabber Olaf, they're just saying, okay, like it's time to win the game. And even if they lose games on playing other stuff, I think it's good that they're trying because that'll make them better in the long term. I think the big weaknesses of C9, this is gonna be just relating to Team Liquid. I just feel like depending on meta, Team Liquid will just be better than C9. I feel if they are able to play in a more scaling sense in a more slow game. I feel like this is gonna be almost meta dependent, but I feel like the Team Liquid plays a much better slow game than C9 does. Okay, this is purely based on summer performance, not taking in the spring split at all. Okay, going on seventh place. So now seventh place is going to be between these teams, Dignitas and CLG. I really don't think CLG should be worse than Dignitas. I think CLG should be a better team than Dignitas. Just on paper and just thinking about like the amount of veterans and the level of play that both of these teams showed in spring, like I was really disappointed with CLG, and I'm gonna be really, really surprised if they play that bad again. I feel like these players should know that like if they have another performance like they did in spring, they're not gonna just get another opportunity. And I feel like they should be pretty happy with the chance that they got this opportunity here again. And I think CLG should end the split above Dignitas. Like I would be really surprised if I see CLG not be the best of like the bottom 5 teams. And for Dignitas, I think they overperformed, but I still think they're going to be better than the bottom 3. They definitely they performed better than I think almost everyone thought they would though. 100%. I think CLG has to look like a different team. If CLG doesn't look like a different team in summer, then there needs to be like changes to the team 100%. All right, moving on to the next tier of teams. Like this next tier of teams, I want to say like 3, 4, and 5. These teams are going to be very, very interchangeable. These teams consist of 100 Thieves, TSM, and Evil Geniuses. Out of those 3 teams, Evil Geniuses is like the most inconsistent team out of all of them. It just feels like the team is not. If you're gonna put your bets on a team, it's not gonna be Evil Geniuses, man. Like you're not gonna just you're not gonna throw a bet on a Evil Geniuses. Even when they're playing a bottom team, it's not like okay, this team's just gonna stomp them, right? It's like they always have this wild card factor of like you never know if they're really gonna win or lose. And I feel like that's why I put them at 5th and like below the super top of the pack teams. And then I think this next one is going to be really interesting because I think it's almost a very similar story as it was in spring. That I think TSM and 100 Thieves are going to be like neck and neck. I think TSM 100 Thieves are probably going to be a rivalry for the summer split. I think 100 Thieves made a lot more. I mean, TSM made 0 changes, and then 100 Thieves made a bunch of changes. So I think if you're going to base it just off of the changes, I think a lot of people will and they should give 100 Thieves an edge because there's a new coach, right? There's a new coach and there's also a new mid laner. And the mid laner has like the mid laner like Abbedagge has synergy with Closer already. Like if you guys didn't know, like those 2 players played together in the past. So it's not like it's going to be just their first time playing together. And I'm honestly like super conflicted on this. I think I've been kind of saying this a lot because we're kind of just doing all of this blind and not knowing the meta entirely. But if the meta is really fighting centric, skirmish centric, I think 100 Thieves will be able to win. But I think if in any way possible the meta is able for TSM to be played like slowly and around Power Evil, I think they will beat 100 Thieves all the time. And just like with saying that, I think like TSM is gonna have better team play than 100 Thieves. I don't think the fact that there's new coach and new mid is gonna change the mid late game challenges that 100 Thieves faced for all of last split that much. So I think I'm gonna just put this 100 T at 4, and I'm gonna put TSM at 3rd. But I think these guys are gonna be neck and neck, man, neck and neck. These two teams. It's gonna be really fun to watch these teams fight. But number 1 and number 2, dude. I think number 1, bro. I'm gonna do number 1 first. I think Team Liquid has it, bro. I think Team Liquid is the best team in the LCS, and I think they're the team to beat. And I think every team needs to like be focusing on trying to better this team. But I also think when I'm talking about 100 Thieves and TSM, right? I think the exact same logic applies to Team Liquid and C9. I feel like it's almost really similar in the fact where if the meta is going to be a lot more crazy and a lot more skirmish heavy and fight heavy, then I think C9 is going to have a much better chance than if the meta falls back into being a slower meta. So I think it's gonna be really interesting to watch how everything turns out, because it's a 9-week season. There's gonna be 3 games every week, and I guarantee you, like it happened in spring, right? Like spring meta changed entirely by the end of like from lock-in to the end of the split. It changed so much, but I think just based off of like Santorin not being able to play, and C9 was really playing a lot of this like skirmish heavy playstyle already, and Team Liquid was able to take them to 5 games with C9 with Greg. But I think for me, it's going to be TL at first and C9 at second. And I think these 3 teams will probably go to Worlds. Barring 100 Thieves like doing really amazing things, and also barring that Evil Geniuses does not like find their like home. If Evil Geniuses find themselves, bro, this team can either be 10th or they can be first. Okay, they can't be first, but they can be 3rd. And I think that's pretty much it. I think for the most part, this is like what I think going into the summer split, just blind. This is like pretty blind. I don't have too much information other than what teams are playing in scrims and what I've seen in Academy so far. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I've never done anything like this, but I think it was pretty successful.